We've got another unique laptop here for you today. It's not a high-end gaming laptop that we did last week. That was the MSI GT73 VR, 3,000 euros, 4 kilograms. Check out the video if you're interested in gaming. No, this is a 17-inch convertible. This is the Dell Inspiron 7000 series. It is a 2.7 kilograms touchscreen, SSD driven, kind of Ultrabook internals convertible. Now, quite why you'd need that convertible on a 2.7 kilogram device is not 100% clear. Certainly in tablet mode, you're not going to be interested in using that as a tablet because it's damn heavy. But this is kind of an interesting television. The screen's quite good, full HD resolution, and we've got some good figures for you on the colors. So the color temperature, sorry, the color accuracy. The deltas out the box weren't that good, but we calibrated them down to under 3 deltas, which is exactly what we're looking for in a screen like this. The ICC calibration figures are in the full review, so you can download them and install them on your Inspiron 17 as a good starting point for improving those colors. Full HD screen, IPS. We've got a reasonable contrast of over 1,000, so that means the blacks are nice and black. High brightness of over 300 nits. The only problem is two. One is a little wobble problem. This is a massive screen, really heavy, and obviously it wobbles around a bit. You really need a full hinge if you want to keep a screen like this at all stable. Second thing is, you see it, it is glossy as hell. So this is not really an outdoor device, but there's a couple of scenarios where this could be interesting. Dorm room is one that springs to mind straight away. That's Ultrabook platform inside. That's a dual-core U-series processor, 15-watt TDP. Is good enough for some really fluid office work, and we've even got a GTX 940MX inside, so the latest generation of that 940, about 50% more powerful than the previous 940M, and that's giving you some entry-level gaming as well. Have a look at the gaming scores that we've got there for you. A lot of green, but not a lot of full HD, and certainly no 4K coverage there amongst games. So entry-level stuff, so 1366 by 768 screen resolution, maybe in the next step up, settings a little bit lower, and you're going to get some reasonable gaming out of it. Let me just go to the SSD now. There's a half a terabyte of light-on SSD inside, which is really quite good. Speeds are good, well over 200 megabytes a second on the top end, and down at the 4K read speeds there, acceptable as well. So before I take you into some of the performance results that we got and the breakdown of the scores at the end of this video, let's just take a look around the device. As I said, 2.7 kilos, it's a pretty heavy device, pretty big device, but the selection of ports is pretty limited. Take a look on this side for a start. There's a USB-C connector which has a USB 3.0 connectivity behind it, not USB 3.1. There is an HDMI port and a USB 2 port. There's a power port there, headphone port there, and on the other side, just a USB 3.0 port and an SD card reader, which isn't very fast. 25 megabytes per second was the top end write speed we got on that, and that's not very good. We would like to see 80 to 100 on devices that are at the high end of the market, and when you're looking at 1,250, although the specs seem to match the price pretty well with 16 gigs of RAM on this, a Core i7 and that half terabyte SSD, we just would like to see a better SD card reader on this. The keyboard itself, well, it looks good. It's got a backlight. We've got a separate numeric keypad here as well, but a little bit spongy, a little bit undefined in terms of its click-through point, and very low throw on it as well. So not ideal for long-term report writing, for example. Although some of you that maybe use a shallow typing method might find that quite nice. As I said, backlight on there, and it is quite a quiet keyboard as well, so that might be an advantage for some people. We talked about the screen, we talked about that hinge and the wobble on that as well. Underneath, no access port, so no easy access to upgrade anything, so no swapping out that SSD, and the RAM in there, although we're really probably at high end. Half terabyte is probably more than most people need, possibly. Okay, gamers, you probably need some more. And 16 gigs of RAM is good for 2016. Right, let's take a look at some of the performance test results. So first, let me talk about the Cinebench performance test result, that dual core, that multi-CPU test there, bringing in a reasonable score on par with most of the other U-series devices. Nothing too much to worry about in that test in terms of throttling. We did get some throttling when we put it under a GPU and CPU stress test. It's not a very real-world stress test, but it certainly shows that it is possible to get this thing to slightly overheat and downclock, and the graphics card itself was downclocking quite a bit under that test. But that's not really real-world. Gamers, we probably have to say no for long-term gaming. Short-term gaming, low-end gaming, entry-level gaming, it's probably okay. That graphic card as well, the GeForce 940MX, probably useful if you're doing a bit of video editing as well. Certainly effects adding, titling and that sort of stuff could speed up the editing process and the rendering process. Although remember, you've got a 24 channel Intel HD520 inside here, so the QuickSync is quite fast. Not as fast as the Intel Iris or the Iris Pro graphics, but reasonable for rendering out 1080p videos at 50 frames a second, for example. No problems there. Let's talk about the battery life. I have the battery life figures here for you, right in front of me in just 1 second. Reasonable battery life, 54 watt-hour battery inside. I wasn't expecting as much as this in our test, but we got 8 hours 15 minutes Wi-Fi browsing on it. That's a really, really good score for a 56 watt-hour battery. It's not a massively good score for a 2.7 kilo device, but it's a reasonable one for that size of battery, and in the competition around this space, one of the best in the class. Have a look at the test results. We've got some comparisons up there with some similar sort of 15-inch convertibles, and you'll see that the Inspiron 17 coming out on top, under load, under 2 hours, and that's pretty normal for any device. Idle, 13 hours 31 minutes, so you could actually Wi-Fi off, screen low, typing for over 12 hours on this. And I'm guessing, and I haven't seen the test, I don't think we did the video playback test, but that big screen, as long as you keep the brightness down there, Wi-Fi off, you're probably going to get a good 5-6 hours out of that without any problem as well. I'm going to put up the pros and cons on the screen now. It's in German. We've written the review in German. We haven't translated to English yet, so you'll get an advance notification of that. And I want to go through the pros in German there, from top to bottom. The pros, of course, you've got different possibilities, different ways to use this device. I wouldn't advise the tablet mode, but certainly that easel mode makes it into a useful television. Nicely finished casing. It looks quite good. It feels quite sturdy. We have, that's talking about the sehr gut verarbeitetes Gehäuse. This is the finishing and fitting of the casing. Not many connectivity points on this, but they are well positioned on the device, and that's an advantage. Putting stuff at the back towards the back of the device is good. So touchpad, we like the touchpad. We like the well-contrasted display and quite bright as well. And after calibration, the figure's pretty good. The color space coverage of it was not that brilliant. You'll see those full test results on the full review. GDDR5 memory on the 940MX GPU gives it a little bit extra memory throughput on that GPU. It's quiet, and we got very good battery life out of it. Let me quickly go to the contras, so the cons on this one, from top to bottom again. Tablet, of course, tablet mode. You've got this keyboard underneath. That's the same as with all of these type of foldback convertibles. We found that hinge, the wobble on that hinge, was a little bit off-putting. That's something to do with the weight of the screen rather than the hinge itself. There's just a lot of momentum if you're moving that hinge around. The SD card reader performance wasn't very good, and there's no access hatch on the back of the device, so that was a little bit off-putting in terms of maintenance, so SSD upgrade, RAM swapping out as well. The glossy touchscreen, of course, It's nice for your fingers, not good for your eyes, which means outdoor use is not really an option here unless you're in a shaded area. Under load, we got the GPU to throttle down quite a lot, so watch out for that if you're gaming. Certainly in a warmer environment, that could be a problem, and it could affect the performance scores of gaming and of things like video rendering and effects processing if you're doing that sort of work on here. Otherwise, the CPU not throttling down and the built-in GPU was working out nicely as well. So that's the pros and cons. What did we give it in terms of score? We gave it an overall 79%. And let me just bring up the breakdown. Well, actually, I'm not going to bring the breakdown up on the screen. You can go to the website for that, and we've got the breakdown of all the scores under a number of categories there, so you can see where we scored it up, where we scored it down, and why it's got a 79% score. Not a very good score, but certainly worth looking at 79%. The two real problems, really, that kind of mushy keyboard, which is a little bit soft, slow card reader performance, and, well, it's heavy, 2.7 kilos. Apart from that, price, performance, and specifications value. One more thing I forgot, the Wi-Fi on this is a single channel, so it's a 1x1 Wi-Fi card in here, so a maximum around half a gigabyte on the AC protocol there. That's it. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up if you like this. If you've got anything out of this this review, don't forget to check out the full review on notebookcheck.net, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.